Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ace Attorney Investigations, and we're going to episode 4, Turnabout Reminiscence. Kay Phaedra, the young lady who calls herself the second Yatagarasu. The piece of clock that she conjured up has taken me back to many years ago. Yeah, that's right. I did it. I killed the guy. But it was the great Yatagarasu thief that told me to do it. I asked the defendant, just what exactly are you trying to say? Don't you get it? I know the true identity of the Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu is the man standing over there in the prosecutor's bench. Are you saying that I'm the Yatagarasu? Don't you dare deny it. You told me you killed him when you snuck into the embassy. Are you claiming that Mr. Phaedra is a Yatagarasu? That is exactly what I'm trying to say. Mr. L, I think I've heard enough, just about enough. Your Honor, please listen to me. I'm telling the truth. You've got to believe me! The prosecutor has the last name, like Phaedra from K, so that has to be the reason. I think he did know the identity. According to the defendant's new accusation, the prosecutor shall be called to replace Mr. Phaedra. This court will be in recess until the new prosecutor is ready. It's young Edgeworth! It's almost time for me to enter the courtroom. And so it is that my first assignment as a prosecutor will be a replacement for a prosecutor who has been accused by the defendant. Edgeworth. Sir. Have you read all over the documents regarding this trial? Yes, sir. I've memorized everything there is to know. Very good. The paperwork for the prosecutor substitution is about complete. Edgeworth, always bear in mind that as your mentor, I, Manfred von Karma, will accept nothing short of perfection. I understand, sir. To have the chance to stand in court at such an early stage in my career, I am honored and proud. As I watched over your studies, I am giving you this very rare chance. Prove yourself. Crush the defendant's pathetic lies into oblivion. Yes, sir. That such a legendary prosecutor will be watching and judging my performance. I have to be perfect in every way. Oh, I can move. Should we just talk to him more? Today's trial should have ended in just 1 minute. Because the defendant was picked up by the security camera, correct? Exactly. The killer had the gall to say that he only killed because he was instructed to do so. Even more outrageous is his claim that the case prosecutor Brian Faraday gave the order. Ha! Ryder is such a fool. He's been cornered by his very own prey. Sir, are you an acquaintance of Mr. Brian Faraday? He is a pathetic man who speaks nothing but nonsense. Nonsense? He once tried to explain me a way of punishing those who cannot be brought to court. Those who cannot be brought to court. Is this nonsense for no man is above the law? Well, there are always a few exceptions. However, there is no reason to even deal with such individuals. A prosecutor is a guardian of the court, one with no obligation to outside matters. Thus, there is no reason to deal with such individuals. I see. Edgeworth, disgracing yourself as Faraday, as will not be forgiven. Have no fear. I will not let you down, sir. In place of the accused prosecutor, Brian Frederick, I'll prove the defendant's guilt. Very good. I'm secured an hour of recess for you to prepare to do just that. Show them all. The power of Von Karma. Oh, we can actually still talk to him more about it. So, have you achieved a firm understanding of the case? Yes, sir. I have memorized everything that is written down in the case files. Well then, explain the case to me. I want to see if you really know what you are talking about. Understood. A murder was committed on September 8 in front of the Codepian Embassy. The victim, Mr. Deadman, was the staff member at the embassy. The defendant in this case, Mr. Mackerel, was held for questioning in the night of the incident as he was deemed suspicious. He was quickly placed under arrest for possessing of the murder weapon, a gun. Furthermore, at the time of the murder, the great thief Yatagarasu has successfully infiltrated the Copian embassy as well. At first, Rel claimed that he himself was the Yatagarasu, but that he did not kill Deadman. I wonder what he expected to gain from such a desperate lie. It's possible that he wants to go down well in the spotlight if he is found guilty. There truly is no limit to people's inanity. But I digress. Continue, Edward. Yes, sir. During the trial, the prosecution presented the security footage that captured the murder. The footage clearly showed Mr. Rel as the murderer. The act of Mr. Rel firing the gun could be clearly seen from the visitors' gallery. Upon seeing that, the defendant retracted his statement and admitted to the murder. I did it because I was told to. By the real Yatagarasu, Brian Faraday. That sounds about right. However, you've forgotten one thing. While this may appear to simply be the murder of Korean embassy staff member, people are actually referring to it as the second KG8 incident. The second KG incident? I'm very sorry, sir. I fear I failed to study hard enough. Well, even among the police, it's information that only a select few are privy to. Could you please enlighten me, sir? Sir, what do you mean by the second KG8 incident? In order for me to tell you that, you must first learn about the original case. Take a look at these documents. This is a 3-year-old newspaper. You have heard of the Amano Group scandal before, correct? Yes, I have. The secretary, Ernest Amano, the Amano Group's director, was arrested under suspicion of smuggling. Correct. TCU was an employee of Amano Group and the sole witness to the smuggling operation. It was she who brought the crime to light. However, Miss Yu was silenced before she could testify in court. Wasn't a Codepian embassy staff member arrested for the murder? Yes. A Korean by the name of Manny Koken was the suspect. However, due to lack of evidence, the case went unresolved. Lack of evidence? Ha! If only I was in charge of that case. I would have done everything in my power to prove his guilt. To make sure that all criminals are found guilty, my mentor really is dedicated. Faraday was the prosecutor on the case then, and he was as pathetic as ever. Mr. Faraday was in charge of the KG8 incident as well? That's right. And now, once again, the victim of the case you are currently assigned to was someone who was scheduled to testify against that smuggling organization. And just like last time, the victim was murdered right before he was to testify. You're catching on. The victim was murdered just before his day in court against the smuggling organization. Events are occurring almost exactly the same way as they did in the KG-8 incident. So that's why it's being called the second KG-8 incident. Yes. Yet there is no difference between the two incidents. What would that be? The so-called noble thief that is sending everyone into an uproar, the great thief Yatagarasu. Yatagarasu? I better find out more. If it is true that the Yatagarasu showed up at the Kodavian embassy, what could he or she have been after? No doubt to steal any suspicious accounting records and release them publicly. Or more likely, to steal secrets from the Kodavian embassy itself. Since the item that the Yatagarasu stole from there was sent to the police, what was it that the Yatagarasu sent to the police? I don't know the details. Anything related to the Yatagarasu is getting the top secret treatment. Still, I find it ironic, very ironic. By returning the stolen item to the police, it was proof positive that the Yatagarasu had infiltrated the embassy on the same day the staff member was killed. Criminals have a way of incriminating themselves, wouldn't you say? That would have to be the first time that a Yatagarasu has left evidence behind, correct? Yes, indeed. If you wish to learn more about the Yatagarasu then, I suggest you ask Faraday. Mr. Faraday? He happens to be the prosecutor in charge of the Yatagarasu case as well. He's a prosecutor in charge of both the KG-8 incident and the Yatagarasu case? Mr. Faraday really has a lot on his plate. What is it, little girl? You're scary, mister. Did you need something? I want to trade these coins with you. A fistful of dimes, quarters, and pennies. But it looks like you've exactly $1. Is this what you want? Thanks! That's exactly what I needed. Could that child be here to watch the trial? How disrespectful for a child like that to be running around inside the courthouse! Does no one have respect for this country's judicial system anymore? The paperwork for prosecutor substitution is complete. Why do you even know how much time there is left before the trial resumes? I'm so sorry. I can have you mopping up this courthouse instead of protecting it in an instant. It's no bother, sir. Not being completely prepared could prove to be a perfect handicap for me. A proud one you are. You had better collect the evidence from Friday and prepare yourself. It's time for your debut, Edgeworth. Oh, here we go. Oh, he's actually like next to us. Interesting. Just what is going on? Why isn't Faraday here yet? How is it possible that the defense is not prepared yet either? Bailiff, where is Mr. Faraday? I'm not sure. I wasn't really paying attention. Ah, you must be the one Mr. Von Karma recommended. I hear this is your first trial. I look forward to seeing how you perform. Oh, by the way, was there someone celebrating a birthday during recess? I could have sworn I heard a popper going off. Come to think of it, the other day with my grandson. Sir, it looks like the trial's about to resume, however. Yes, it will be all but impossible to prove the witness a liar. Without the evidence from Farida. What is that blasted buffoon up to? It's an emergency, sirs! I feel like he got killed. Oh. Silence! There shall be no yelling in this sacred hall of law. Bailiff, remove this man from this courtroom at once. Please, wait. You have to listen to me. There's an emergency. Defendant lobby number 2, Mr. Farida and the defendant. The two of them, they're both dead, Your Honor. What? I had a feeling. September 10, District Court hallway. Stay back. No one's allowed on the crime scene. Period. Just who does this old ball think he is? This is becoming quite the hotspot. Isn't she Mr. L defense attorney? Hey you, no running in the hallway, pal. And who are you to tell me what to do? I'll never find out what's going on like this. It's time for some civil discourse. Well, I guess we're gonna talk maybe with Gums first. And you are? Who, me? Hey, pal. It's common courtesy to tell someone your name first before asking theirs. Point taken. My name is Miles Edgeworth. I am a district prosecutor. A prosecutor? I've never seen a prosecutor as young as you, pal. I've told you my name. Now, would you mind me telling yours? Detective Dick Gumshoe. And just recently, I've achieved my dream of becoming a detective. More than a dream. It was what I was born to do. Wait, maybe I should check and make sure I'm not really in some crazy dream first. This detective is entirely too excited to be at a murder scene. So, Detective Gumshoe, would you mind telling me what you know about the incident? You know that I don't have to tell you anything, right? I know that. But it would behoove you to fill me in on what you know. Wow, you're a proud one for such a youngster, aren't you? Well, anyway, Detective Bad is the one in charge. So you're just gonna have to ask him for all the details, okay? As for me, I was guarding the door to the defendant lobby number 2. So you were on guard detail. Did you notice anything strange while you were on duty? Well, I freaked out when I heard a gunshot, and then I kind of froze. You're a detective and a measly gunshot scared you that much? Then again, I can hardly claim to know what it's like to hear one at close range. Then Detective Bad came running to the scene. We went into lobby 2 together, and both men were lying there, dead. Is that everything? Yeah, that's it. I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle. Interesting. Other than the gunshot, he didn't hear a single sound of commotion. Well, they heard only one gunshot and they're both dead, so I wonder how both of them could die at the same time. But we'll see. Wait, we need to check what did he write with his testimony. It's like, was in the hall on guard duty other than gunshot. Didn't hear a sign of struggle. So it's only one gunshot. Okay. Oh my god, are those ants? We'll check that later. We're gonna talk to this guy. Oh my god. I'm so short compared to him. But anyway. Excuse me, but who are you? Detective Trail Bread. Homicide. I was informed of the situation and came as quickly as possible. So, how did you arrive and inspect the body before me? Frederick requested for me to testify in the trial. Plain and simple. Mr. Frederick requested that you be here? I've already contacted HQ about the situation. I've got nothing to say to you, kid. Kid? I'm Mr. Farager's substitute in today's trial. Therefore, I insist you update me on the situation. I can't back down here. I have the right to know. Do I need to teach you a thing or two about how to talk to adults, kid? Is he threatening me? Is he going for his gun? It's just a mirror? How dare he try to trick me like that? Faraday was stabbed to death with some kind of blade, and he had a gun in his hand. The other man, a Mr. Macrell, was shot and killed. He was found holding a bloody knife in his hand. Was there anyone else who went into defendant lobby number 2? Yeah, the big lug over there. His name's Gumshoe. He was in charge of guarding the place. He's claiming that no one else entered the room. If that's the case then, they must have killed each other, correct? Maybe. Such impudence. This guy is really testing my patience. Why was I not informed that you were going to testify in court? Homicides aren't my only gig. The Yatagara suitcase is also one of my assignments. So you were called upon to comment on the Yatagara Su's characteristics in order to assess if Mr. Frederick really was the Yatagara Su or not. Well, well. Looks like you just might have a brain after all in that head of yours, son. Son? I'm not your son, Pops. Okay. Well, he got nothing more to say. We're gonna then talk to her. Do you have a minute? You know, I'm not really into talking to people I don't know. Especially at a time like this. Ah, I apologize for not introducing myself before bothering you. My name is Miles Edward. I was to take Mr. Frederick's place in court. Edward, huh? Never heard of you. So, Frederick's substitute is a newbie, huh? I'll have you know, madame, that I studied under Mainfrey from Karma. Do not take me for some naive novice. I kind of was like, do not take me for some naive novice? So you're a student of Karma. So I've... Those clothes are a giveaway. Stop right there. There are the garments of one who gallantly presents the facts. Ah, thanks for the great laugh. But try not to make me laugh so much, okay? I wasn't trying to do anything of the sort. Just kidding. I was just goofing around. By the way, do you know who I am? My name is Calypso Yu. And if you were telling the truth, then we were about to go head-to-head in court. Wait, she has the last name as the one from the newspaper, right? The victim, Miss Chichiyu. Probably. They're sisters. In my case. Ah, but of course. I've heard much about you, Miss Yu. Ah, but of course. I've heard so much about you. You're a regular Shakespeare. Did I say something funny? I'd like you to update me on the situation. I don't really know anything. Why don't you try talking to those detectives over there? Well, I did. If that's the case, then why are you here? Ugh, what's so funny? It's just that the way you speak is so tactless. The persons I was going against in court until only a little while ago was just murdered. It's not like I could go back into the courtroom pretending as though nothing happened. That's a good point. I apologize for asking such an insensitive question. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Miss Yu! There is someone here who wishes to see you. Who is it? A Codian Embassy staff member by the name of Manikoken. What? What's going on? Detective Bad and Miss Yu moods just change all of a sudden. Wait a second. Wasn't Manikoken... I'll be right there. It's nice to see you again, Miss Yu. Why are you here? I have no desire to ever see you again. Now. Actually, would you mind stepping outside for a brief chat? Fine, let's go. Bad. Von Karma. It's been a long time. I knew you would show up. You usually do when the Yatagarasu is involved, and I see this case as no exception. Do you know Detective Bad, sir? Yes. He's like an old bloodhound that never leaves the scene of the crime. If only he would get a promotion and move on. It's the crime scene where a detective is most useful and effective. It's not like I don't know that. Moving on though, Bad. The man that I just passed by, was he not the suspect from the KG8 incident? So I was right. Just what is this man doing, wandering around here? That Friday, I can't believe he let such an easy catch get away. Imbecile. I would have proved his guilt in 3 minutes. Von Karma, I think you've said enough for now. It's in the poor taste to speak like that about the departed. Very well. Back on topic. I'm placing Mr. Edgeworth in charge of the investigation here.
Objection!
Oh! Papa, how can you place him in charge? Francisca, what are you doing here? I'm here for summer vacation. What else? Francesca is like really young. I forgot that she was like younger than Edgeworth. Francesca von Karma. So she is here on vacation from Germany. She is the daughter of Mavar von Karma and a student of his who's also a junior to me. You're the one who's junior to me, and don't you forget it. You're not conveniently avoiding the bar examination, are you? Ha! If you were able to pass, then I'll have absolutely no trouble at all. I'll never allow myself to lose to you. Never! Wonder the ages real quick. Von Karma, 60. 43. That's like the guy that died. Yeah. He's 32. The Yatagarasu is unknown. She's still the age unknown. Judge will forever be unknown. 26, 53, 22, 24. Oh, we have to wait until Francesca, like, maybe. And we'll see her age, I believe. Why does she always have to be this competitive? Anyway, Papa, are you really assigning Miles Edgeworth to cover this case? Yes, I am. Why do you ask? Well, you know, I'm close to becoming a prosecutor myself. And I'm 100% confident that I can do a better job than him. That's just like Francesca. Let's try check again. Yes, she's 13. Oh my gosh. Stubborn as ever. She has no problem bad-mouthing someone right in front of them. Bad. Yeah? These two will be conducting the investigation. What? You want me to let both of these kids loose on the crime scene? Ha! This is a perfect opportunity for them to work on their prosecutorial skills. A crime scene is not a place for children to be messing around in. I'm the one with the authority over this crime scene, bad. And I will not tolerate complaining. Edward, Francesca, I leave this case to the two of you. Understood, sir. Yes, Papa. I'll go take care of the paperwork now. Remember, I'll accept nothing but a perfect report from the both of you. Do not disappoint me. Hold up, Von Karma! I still haven't agreed to this! Miles Edgeworth. It's been quite some time, Francesca. This will be the perfect chance for us to see which of us is truly worthy of the Von Karma name. Would it kill you to at least say hello? Long time no see. Very good. Just because you became a prosecutor first doesn't mean you can act all proud. She hasn't changed a bit. Miles Edgeworth. As I was saying, we shall see one of us is worthy of the Von Karma name. For crying out loud, I've been reduced to a babysitter. It looks like Mr. Von Karma was successfully in convincing the detective. That is just like him. He never fails. Now I appreciate it if you could quickly run me through the facts, Detective Bad. You're better off checking things out on your own. Very well. Seems like getting help from Detective Bad will be most arduous task. Whoa. Is the only real explanation that they killed each other simultaneously? Miles Edgeworth, you should listen to someone until they are finished talking. What are you talking about? I'll only say it one more time. This is a competition to see who is truly worthy of the Von Karma name. Competition. The person that figures out the truth first wins. So the person who doesn't discover the truth is a dishonor to the name? Exactly. I don't care that you become a prosecutor before me. I simply refuse to hear any more foolish things come from your foolishly foolish mouth. Fine, whatever makes you happy. I can take that as you accepting my challenge. Once again, whatever makes you happy. Ha! Well then, let's begin the investigation, shall we? I'm going to find the perfect evidence and prettily present it like the professional I am. Competing to discover the truth behind a crime scene. How delightfully childish. Alright. You kids over there. Hold it. Kid? Ha! Serves you right, Mouse Edgeworth. He just called you a kid. I said kids, kid. How dare you call me a kid as well? I'll do what I please, and I won't allow you to cause a ruckus on my crime scene. Hey, big guy. You're going to watch over these two. Yes, sir. Detective Bad, sir. Now, do what I say from now on, kids, okay? You better not get in our way, Scruffy. You'll feel the bite of my whip if you do. Eek! Then you prosecutor boy! Let's get your investigation started already, alright? Great. Now even that detective is treating me like a child. Alright, it's time to get investigating. Get a move on, prosecutor boy. My name is Miles Edgeworth. And if you were going to call me prosecutor boy one more time, it will be my duty as a prosecutor to look into your monthly salary. Oh no, it's starting. What? And what would you do with my salary after you saw how much it was? That's up to you now, isn't it? Really, sounds good, pal. He's so naive. Alright, you know what? Let's start with the body. The bodies. Oh, Detective Bat, may I have a word with you? Never mind, we're not starting with the bodies, we're talking to him. What is it? It appears that both a knife and gun were used as murder weapons. Yeah, it does. And that leads us to the first question of the investigation. Where did the men acquire the weapons? The gun was inside of Frederick's bag. It was a piece of evidence that was presented in the trial earlier today. It was used to kill Copian Embassy staff member. But I never heard anything about this knife. Mr. Rell was being held by the police. There's no way he could have brought it in. Which means it's possible that Faraday had the knife on him from the start as well. Could it have been a piece of evidence that had yet to be presented? But then, why doesn't Detective Bad know about that? Wait, what if? Is it possible that Mr. Faraday brought the knife in under the guise of prosecutorial evidence? He could have then brought it out and attacked Mr. Rao with it. Ha! Maybe you got a brain in there after all, kid. Is he going to treat me like a child forever? It looks like Mr. Faraday attacked Mr. Rao first, who then counterattacked. That's the only logical conclusion you can draw from the scene like this. Not yet. I feel that it's much too early to be drawing conclusions already. I must first find conclusive evidence so as to protect the honor of the Von Karma name. Well, let's start with this. Why are those plastic bags scattered all around? Those bags are for keeping evidence safe, pal. I know that much, detective. You sure are good at stuff, aren't you, pal? Normally I'd be happy when someone compliments me, but when it's this guy... Anyway, could these plastic bags be evidence of the fight between the two men? A logic for that. Need more logic, of course. Wait, I don't want to talk to her, I want to look at the scene. It looks like Mr. Frederick fell on top of Mr. L. At first glance, it seems like they must have killed each other. However, using logic, the only logical conclusion is... Aha! What was that outburst for? My detective instincts just hit me real hard. It was Mr. L that fell first, see? You don't need a detective instincts for that. It's just common sense. But I suppose we won't know much more than that until after I examine the bodies. Well, we can look at the obvious statement, but let's look at the unobvious, for example, his hand. His hand is all black down here, see? I wonder what it could be. If you look closely, this blotching pattern resembles the ink stain. An ink stain. An ink stain? Yes. I usually get ink on my own hand when I use my feather pen. A feather pen? I've never seen one before. Sure you aren't just making it up, pal. You can check his scarf. Mr. Frederick, how ironic it is for him to lose his life in a court case. Yeah, why did it have to be like this? I don't know what to say. I can't believe this happened while I was on watch, pal. Rather than beating yourself up, you should spend your time continuing the investigation. Didn't you become a detective in order to solve crimes? Yeah. And get back to work. Find out the cause of the murder. Right, on it. Right, I'm on it, pal. Looks like Mr. Rail died with a knife in his hand. There's some blood on it. Then he must use this weapon. Yep, no doubt about it. Was Mr. Frederick carrying this on his personage? Did he bring this as a piece of evidence for the trial? Or did he bring it with a very different intention in mind? I should jot some notes down about it. Why are there plastic bags scattered all around? Those bags are for keeping evidence safe, pal. I know that much, detective. You sure are good at this stuff, aren't you, pal? Normally, I'd be happy when someone compliments me, but when it comes of this guy... Anyway, could these plastic bags be evidence for a fight between the two men? I already got that one. Interesting. Looks like Mr. Fredger died while holding the gun in his hand. So he shot Mr. Rel and then fell on top of him while still gripping onto the gun? I guess that does seem kind of strange, huh? I mean, why would Mr. Fredger know how to fire a gun? It's not exactly rocket science. Even I know how to pull a trigger. Although I doubt I'll ever need to use one. I hope I never have to fire a gun either, pal. But it sure does look cool to hold a gun in your hands. It appears that the police screening procedures need a thorough review. Anyway, I should jot down some notes about the handgun in Mr. Fredger's hand. Mr. Rel, cause of death was from being shot, correct? That's what we think, but it's hard to tell with him lying face down. That is bad enough, but it's truly lamentable that someone would try to hide the truth. Are you sure we're trying to hide something? I think they are trying to hide something. The way they're placed is already showing that they messed up the crime scene. Like, someone messed up the crime scene. I can't confirm Mr. Rel caused the death with his body positioned like that. Detective Bad, I'd like to examine the bodies in further detail, if possible. What's this? You're not able to form a theory with them the way they are. I believe an examination of the bodies is vital to finding the perfect evidence, don't you? I suppose you do have a point. Well, hurry up and get on with it. Labby. Yes, sir. We're taking enough photos for the crime scene, sir. And there you have it. Do you not approve? Well, of course not. What? Investigation of a crime scene is the work of a detective, so don't touch a thing. Hey, big fella, turn over the bodies for me, will you? Okay. Please forgive me, Mr. Fredger, sir. Gumshoe, do not get emotionally involved. Remember, you're a detective. Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Oh, I can actually see a pen that he had. There's something in his breast pocket. It's a fountain pen. Hey, you know, I always keep a pencil behind my ear. It's because Detective Bad is always telling me, you should always write your name on everything you own. Yes, somehow you do strike me as quite a forgetful individual. The shot in the chest. It takes some guts to fire a gun in a courthouse. I've been a detective for a whole week and I still haven't fired a single round yet. There aren't any burn marks on his clothes. That must mean... Wait, burn marks? A round grows very hot as it is discharged from the firearm. Therefore, burn marks are usually left when a shot is fired from point-blank range. Ergo, Mr. Rel must have been shot from at least a yard or two away. You sure do know a bunch of neat stuff for your age, pal. Apparently, this detective has as much common knowledge as your everyday merciful. Mr. Fredger is holding the gun in his right hand. Ah, he's not right-handed. He's actually left-handed because of the pen ink, right? So that is already an inconsistency. That's the one Mr. Rel got blown away by, right? Abby, your answer? Yes, sir. We found that the ballistic markings do match the gun. Oh, ballistic markings are the figurative fingerprints a gun leaves on a bullet when fired. Every gun leaves its own unique ballistic markings. Therefore, by looking at the markings on the bullet, you can tell which gun it came from. Yeah, that's it. Of course, I already knew all about that, pal. Maybe you'd be better going off back to the academy. Eek! Come on, sir. Cut me some slack, will ya? So the bullet that was fired from the gun is what felled Mr. L. I think we might have enough logic in order to figure out that he is not right-handed, but left-handed. That splotch of Mr. Frederick's hand. I wonder if it might be the ink from the fountain pen. Ooh, let's ask the lab guy. Detective Gumshoe. I confirm that the substance of Mr. Frederick's hand is the ink from his fountain pen. I see. Good work. Ah, you know, I've always wanted to say that, even if it was just one time in my life. If Mr. Frederick wrote with his fountain pen in his left hand, I think it's far to assume he was left-handed. It appears that Mr. Frederick's pen is very important to our case as well. Okay, if you say so, pal. Okay, well, that is something quite interesting. There's a knife wound in his chest, see? I wonder if it would match the knife Mr. Rel is holding. Labby. Yes, sir. Verifying it now, sir. Make it quick. From the looks of things, one could deduce that the knife Mr. Rel is holding is what killed Mr. Farda. Let us now try to understand how the two men died. First, Mr. Farda took the gun and the knife out from today's trial's evidence. Then he aimed the gun at Mr. L and fired. However, Mr. L managed to grab the knife and counter Mr. Farda while being shot. Then the two men fell together where they stood. That is my theory in any case. What a crazy way to go. Still, something about that explanation just doesn't seem right. I believe I now have a firmer grasp on what happened here. Should we, I guess, look around? Let's just look around more. The window's open and... there's a fresh flowery scent in the air. Ugh, the flowers in the garden down there are so gross and ghastly. Do you think maybe you could try offering something useful for a change? Well, at least there's no way someone escaped through the window, pal. They wouldn't wake up and smell flowers after a fall from the 3rd floor. Are you willfully ignoring the fact that there are also iron bars on the windows? Yeah, I guess there is too. Either way, no one could get through these windows, right? They thought of everything when they were designing the courthouse. Very nice. Whoa! What is it, Detective Gumshoe? My TV at home is so tiny compared to this one, pal. Then perhaps you should purchase a more normal-sized television like this one. Ooh, let me see. Wow! This thing is huge! Ugh! And way too noisy. You're the noisy one, Scruffy. Don't touch it. You'll get your fingerprints all over it. But I didn't touch it! Preservation of the crime scene is the foundation of the detective's work. Foundation, huh? Sounds like something the rookie here needs to shore up on. Let's talk with, or like, let's just go through the bags. Like, more investigation, talking later. There's some plastic bags stacked on this table. There's a T2, but there doesn't seem to be any signs of disturbance. Yeah, the table's all neat and tidy. Maybe they were super quiet in their scruffle? After all, I didn't hear anything from out of the ordinary in the hallway. Maybe the plastic bags scattered on the floor are throwing us off? There's some stuff in the bag, pal. I suppose there was Faraday's bag. It's probably the trial evidence I was supposed to collect from him. This is evidence! Ah, I better not touch it. I'll leave fingerprints on it. You just not pay attention to anything, do you? Okay, can we maybe check? No. Plant? This decorative plant foliage is quite nice. It's actually soothing to be around it. Perhaps I should purchase one for my room. Let's just check logic. Maybe we have more logic to emphasize. Neat and tidy, and the plastic bags turn around. Let's maybe put these together. There is a very tidy pile of plastic bags on the table. And yet, a portion of them wound up scattered on the floor as well. It's not likely that the ones on the floor were knocked over during a struggle. In which case, might there not be another explanation as how they got there? Another reason? I believe it's possible that the blood on the outside of the bag is related somehow. Eek! Please get the blood away from me, pal. Detective Gumshoe, whose blood is on the bag. Hold on, let me ask the lab guy. Alright, please hurry. Wait till you get a load of this, pal. It's Mr. Faraday's. Oh, and the technician said they didn't find anything else on or in the bag either. It will appear that the bag is a very important piece of evidence. Okay, if you say so, leave it in your hands, pal. I guess there's not much left to investigate, huh? They really did kill each other. No, we can't conclude that quite yet. There's still something I find very peculiar here. In the theory that they simply killed one another is too simplistic in this case. In fact, there is actually a contradiction that shows there is another possibility. No way, pal, really? I suppose I just have to show you the contradiction in the crime scene. I think it would be him that he's like not right-handed but left-handed. And that would be this one? Yeah. Now we come face to face with a contradiction I spoke of, and it's this. Mr. Faraday uses his left hand to write with his fountain pen. Ergo, he is left-handed. And yet the handgun is in his right hand. Don't you find it odd the left-handed Mr. Faraday would hold the gun in his right hand? That, lady and gentlemen, is the great contradiction haunting the crime scene. Hey, you're right, pal. That does seem kind of strange. But how could something like that happen? The facts add up to one conclusion and one only. Someone else put the gun in Faraday's hand after he died. Someone else? Plastic bags scattered on the floor and a gun in the wrong hand. I sense presence of a shadowy figure behind this case. A person of vile intent who is serious about keeping the truth from us. Here's the autopsy report. It's probable that Mr. Rell survived for a short time after he was shot. However, Mr. Faraday died instantaneously from his stabbing. Interesting. It looks like we now know everything we need to know about this case. Are you sure we know everything? Of course. The incident began with Faraday attempting to get his revenge. The prosecutor went into a rage from being accused and tried to kill the defendant. But the defendant fought back, and they ended up killing each other. It's all very clear and simple. There is absolutely no margin for doubt. Do you really believe that to be the truth? Ha! Are you saying that just because I figured out the truth before you, that you don't want to believe it's true? It's alright. If you disagree with my argument, then prove me wrong. Well, if there are any contradictions to be found, that is. Don't worry, I will. Mr. Friday's death was instantaneous, while Mr. Rel survived for a short time. From this, it is obvious that Mr. Friday died after he shot Mr. Rel. And Mr. Rel, while on the brink of death, stole Mr. Friday's knife and stabbed him. Those are the facts of this case. Mr. Friday's death was instantaneous, therefore he must have attacked first. Proving the logic to be false is probably a fastest way to show her that she's wrong. In that case, I should first look for any holes in her theory.
Hold it!
Do you truly believe that Mr. Friday died instantaneously? I have the murder report right here. Mr. Friday died instantaneously of shock due to being stabbed in the chest. There, you see? It's been documented, clear as day.
Hold it!
Mr. Friday shot Mr. Rel before he died. Do you have any basis of that statement? Your foolishness has no end, does it? Now, I hate to repeat myself, however. Mr. Friday died instantaneously. That's all the basis I need. Alright, so if Mr. Friday died instantaneously, then he must have attacked Mr. Rel before being stabbed. You're finally beginning to catch on, I see.
Hold it!
So you believe that the dying Mr. Rel stole the knife from Mr. Faraday. Mr. Rel became desperate as he did not want to die. Human beings can do amazing things when they are put to the test. So the two men struggled. And in the end, Mr. Rel was able to grab the knife and stab Mr. Faraday. The messy conditions of this room is a testament to their struggle. Yes, my logic is perfectly sound. Can you really say that it's perfect? What are you insinuating? Nothing. However, I can't let what you said slide by without further inquiry. One must be clear and precise. So if you could append that statement to your testimony. Fine. They struggled and Mr. Rel used the last of his strength to counterattack Mr. Faraday.
Hold it!
About this statement. Mr. Rel used all his remaining strength to take the knife and defend himself. One can easily see that they had a violent struggle. Of course, it's nothing compared to what my writing corp can do. How does one compare the damage her corp can do with the state of this room? Furthermore, all the plastic bags on the floor in this room were scattered due to the fight. Is there anything else that I can explain for you? No, that will be fine. We could do... let's see... These are all the evidence that I have. Well... wait, this statement actually is the answer to it. If the two men were fighting, their struggle would be surely cause quite a bit of a noise. However, Detective Gumshoe testified that he heard absolutely nothing. Ha, you place too much faith in that detective's testimony, do you? But for the sake of argument, let's say there wasn't a fight. How then did Mr. Rel get his hands on the knife? Mr. Friday's bag was sitting right here in the lobby number 2. It is not hard to imagine that perhaps Mr. L saw a chance and took it out at some point. So, what you're saying is this. Mr. L took a chance when he saw the opportunity and took the knife from the bag. And then Mr. Frederick shot Mr. L after being stabbed. Isn't there something strange in Francisca's statement just now? I feel like something is off. Wait, something doesn't add up. Oh, really? It's simply not possible for Mr. Frederick to have shot Mr. L after being stabbed. Because he died instantly.
Take that!
According to the coroner's report, Mr. Frederick died instantaneously, meaning that he died immediately upon being stabbed by the knife. Ergo, he could not possibly have fired the gun after that. Oh, you got me. But of course. Well then, if the report is correct, then there is only one correct explanation. If we suppose that Mr. L attacked first, then Mr. Frederick, who died instantaneously, would have been unable to kill Mr. L. Therefore, Mr. L must have stabbed Mr. Frederick after he was shot. Then, they both died. That is the only explanation that makes logical sense. Negating your opponent's ideas in order to prove your own theory. I see you've been studying, Francesca. I just want to explain it to you as simple as possible. Before you foolishly propose a foolish theory that only a foolish fool like you could. How naive of you to believe that only your opinions are valid, and still expect to discover the truth that the crime scene offers you. Francesca, you still got ways to go. What are you talking about? Are you saying there's a flaw in my logic? Mr. Frederick died instantly. And the fact that he did is what gives rise to the contradiction in the scene. The contradiction here in this crime scene is the order of events, the order of bodies fell, the order of facts. Okay. I think the order of bodies fell. Let me get this straight. What you are arguing is this. Mr. Frederick took the gun from the evidence bag and shot Mr. Rell. Then, the wounded Mr. Rell found an opportunity to take the knife and strike back. Upon being stabbed, Mr. Frederick died on the spot, and Mr. Rell died thereafter. If that's the case, then how do you explain this? Take a good look at the order of which their bodies are piled. No! Mr. Frederick's body is lying on top of Mr. Rell's. Therefore, Mr. Rell must have died before Mr. Frederick. Impossible! Yes, I agree that it seems strange no matter what angle you approach it from. Which means that the real mystery behind this crime... No, not so fast, Miles Edgeworth. I didn't even let me think. It's like the real mystery behind this crime scene that we must solve is... And then she says that. But now, I simply think that you ought to think a bit more outside the box. And that it's even clearer now that the incident started with Mr. Frederick's murderous intent. She sure bounced back quickly. An explanation won't be enough this time. It's going to take some very decisive evidence to prove her wrong. It was just a chance that Mr. Frederick's body fell on top of Mr. Rell's. The bodies fell into a pile, which indicates that they attacked each other at the same time. It really doesn't matter in the slightest that they fell in the opposite order. I just know that Francesca's explanation isn't absolutely correct. All I have to do is find a hole in her logic. Once I do, I can present her with decisive evidence that proves the contradiction. Let's press on her and see if she's gonna add more statements, maybe.
Hold it! Objection!
About that. Pressing someone's testimony in order to gain some time to think. You are a real one-trick pony, aren't you? It's too bad your trick only works on fools. That wasn't my intent. Simply wish for more detail as how Mr. Frederick ended up on top of Mr. L. Someone impatient? I was just about to explain everything to you. So do you think you could hold on for a minute? Francisca, I'll make you a deal. I'll hold on if you hold on to that whip of yours. Oh, I'll hold on to it, alright. As I whip you. Well, now that we're quiet down a bit, I'd like to continue if you don't mind.
Hold it!
The two fell on top of each other. Don't you find that to be just a bit strange? Not at all. I can see it in her eyes. She's dead set against me from the bottom of her heart. Miles Edgeworth, once I'm done here, you'll see that there's nothing strange at all. Now then, the two men fell into a pile, which indicate that they attacked each other at the same time. What do you mean by they attacked each other at the same time? I assume Mr. Frederick had the two different weapons in his hands. He made to attack Mr. L while holding both the knife and revolver, and then, after Mr. Frederick fired the gun, Mr. L grabbed the gun as he was falling and stabbed Mr. Frederick. That's how Mr. L wound up on the bottom with Mr. Frederick on top. At close range, that is more than possible. That is possible, but... well, if you have any other ideas, then show me what you got. Oh, I will. And to that extent, I'd like for you to append what you just said in your testimony. Yes, she's gonna add that, and then we're gonna go against her. I don't see any point to that, but as you please. Now we can press on her.
Objection!
So you believe they killed each other at close range? Sorry, but that's impossible. Just as it's written in the crime scene notes. The firing of the handgun did not leave a gunpowder burn on Mr. L's clothes. Therefore, Mr. L and the gun must have been separated by a distance of at least 2 or 3 yards. Yes, this is by far the biggest contradiction. The two bodies are piled up on each other, yet the gun was fired from a distance. And with there being no chance that Mr. L moved that far from being shot, that leaves only one possible explanation. What a completely foolish line of a foolish thought from the truly foolish fool! If I'm not right, then who was it that made the first move with the intent to kill, huh? Who? The person that attacked first with the murderous intent would be... I think neither. Here in this room, contradictions appear no matter which man we claim attacked first. Thus there can only be one explanation. There was a third person here. It was that third person who killed both Mr. Frederick and Mr. L, and set their bodies up to make it look like a double murder. That third person is the real culprit. Miles Edgeworth, there's just one thing you're missing. Evidence, correct? Exactly. Everything you've said up until now is nothing but a story played out in your head. However, there is where the real test begins. Can you prove that there was a third person involved in the crime? Of course. If a third person was truly here, that fact would resolve the glaring contradiction. The proof that this has all been a setup made to look like they killed each other. I'll present it, and lay bare the final piece of puzzle that's not yet in place. What is the piece of evidence that proves that there is a third person involved? What is the piece of evidence? Let's consider the bags, maybe?
Take that!
The gun in Mr. Frederick's hand and the plastic bag with his blood on it These two items point to the presence of a third person. How so? Recall Detective Gumshoe's testimony. I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle. If there wasn't a struggle in the room, then there shouldn't be any plastic bags on the ground. Meaning that someone must have deliberately scattered them around. Does he accuse Detective Gumshoe? Do you not see the possibility in this? Disregarding the gun of the moment, there is a high probability of blood splatter when the knife is used on a person. If the culprit held the knife with a plastic bag around it, then they could use the bag to catch any blood splattered from when they withdrew the knife. Then, by spreading a few more plastic bags around, mixing the bloody one in with them, and arranging the room to make it look like there was a struggle between the two, they were able to conceal their presence. Looks like we've still got a long way to go in this investigation. Yes.
Objection!
What the heck is up with you, pal? Mr. Bat, I advise you to place Detective Gumshoe under arrest. I knew it! And also, like, hello? We see the judge standing? That's crazy. Like, it just looks so out of place. What? What's the meaning of this? Ha, looks like you're not the man enough to discipline your own subordinates. Don't you dare. That detective claims he was there, standing in front of the door the entire time. But I have it on good authority that it was all a giant lie. Miss Yu, I ask that you please explain that last statement. I'll let His Honor explain it himself. I saw it with my own eyes, I'll tell you. During the recess, there was a period of time when there was no one in the hallway. What? See, Mr. Bad? So I ask you, why would a detective who was supposedly doing his job the whole time want to fabricate such a lie? Gumshoe, did you kill Farida? No! Of course not, sir! It would appear that the one who set this whole crime scene up is that detective, which basically renders his testimony a complete lie and wholly invalid. It looks like your perfect logic has just come tumbling down, Miles. I was in the hallway the whole time, but I didn't hear a single peep of a struggle. Was that statement really a lie? Detective Gumshoe, you are now a suspect in the murder of the two men. Now spit out the truth, or so help me. I haven't lied to anyone, sir. Honest. I really was there. I was in the hallway the whole time.
Hold it!
Detective Bat, I ask that you please do not act without my permission. After all, I am the one that is heading up this investigation, am I not? Don't talk like you know what you're going on. Don't talk like you know what's going on, boy. All I want is for this investigation to run perfectly. Perfection is the only wish of disciple of Von Karma, after all. Therefore, before you take Detective Gumshoe into custody, I'd like to set the record straight on something. And what's that? What should I ask Detective Gumshoe about? Motive of murders, why he wasn't in the hallway, the state of the hallway. Let's consider the motive. I suppose the only thing I like clarified is Detective Gumshoe's motive of committing this crime. Motive, huh? Gumshoe, you got a grudge against Friday or anything? No, sir, not me. Not a single bad thing against Mr. Friday, sir. Is that a fact?
Objection!
You really have a problem with lying, don't you, Detective Gumshoe? I'm telling you, I am not lying. The more unnatural you act, the more suspicious you become, you know? If you want a motive, Edgeworth, I have one for you right here. Could you please share it with us? However, be forewarned that I won't hesitate to object to flights of fancy, because all I'm interested in is this perfect explanation. You serious, aren't you? Fine. You amuse me, so I'll humor you with a little courtroom practice. It was about a week ago. I saw a detective get chewed out by a livid Faraday in front of the precinct. He stood there super pale as Mr. Frederick yelled, "That's a salary cut for you, you nitwit." A brand new detective suddenly getting his salary cut. That's reason enough for a grudge. Well, how is that for a perfect explanation? You totally misunderstood me, pal. No matter how mad I get, I could never hold a grudge. Quiet. You can't trust anything you say. We can't trust anything you say. Sir. There's nothing wrong with the motive she proposed, per se. But there are some gaps in her logic that needs to be filled in. Miss Yu's perfect explanation may not be so perfect after all. It was about a week ago. Let's go back. A week ago. Then you and Detective Gumshoe are acquaintances. No way. I only met him in person today. Then how did you know about Detective Gumshoe? Oh, I've seen him around before.
Hold it!
Mr. Frederick was upset? Yeah, you know what else, Mr. Frederick isn't exactly known to get angry often. But there he was, totally beat red in the face. And the offended detective just stood there, pale as a ghost, like he was about to die. Just like the face he's making now, right? I'm completely innocent, I tell you. The poor man. It was quite the scene with the detective.
Hold it!
You just stood there watching this unfold in front of you? Yeah, I have to say it was really enjoyable too. But that's why when I saw Detective Gumshoe earlier, I knew to steer clear from him. No way. I thought it was because I had something stuck on my face. But you do! Huh? What have got stuck on my face? Let's just say with your eyes, nose, mouth, oh, and those ridiculous eyebrows. Huh? Oh man, messing with your head is just too much fun. Miss Yu, if you don't mind, I'd like to return to your testimony now. Sure, why not? A brand new detective suddenly getting his salary cut. That's the reason enough to a grudge. To cut a new detective salary right off the bat like that. I'm not really familiar with the way you guys relate, but it's that a common practice? Speaking of cutting my salary, didn't you threaten to do that to me earlier too? I suppose I did. It's only natural to cut a worthless detective's salary down to their actual worth. My father can even fire anyone new or old with a snap of his finger. Do you think maybe that's a reason enough for detectives to hate you people? Well, I guess they really shouldn't cut people's pay. Detective Bad, don't tell me Mr. Von Karma cut your salary earlier.
Hold it!
You call your explanation perfect? Is it not to your liking? Unfortunately for you, it's just not up to my standards. Oh, is there something you want me to clarify in that case? What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Let's just raise an objection. Alright, if you could clear this one thing for me. How Mr. Frederick was killed, no motive for killing Mr. Rel, that's also true. Frederick and Gumshoe. Maybe we can ask for the motive of killing Mr. Rel. I understand Detective Gumshoe's potential motive for killing Frederick. However, what about his motive for killing Mr. Rel? His motive for killing Rel? Like I would know. If there is no clear motive for both of the murders, then I doubt this incident would have occurred, wouldn't you agree? Is there anyone else who might have a grudge against either of the two men? Or should we look into that ourselves? Oh, in that case, I have absolutely no idea. What? But that's impossible. She must know something. Wait! Can you please not glare at me like that? It makes me laugh. I didn't even do anything, and you were already laughing away. Well, anyway, the way I see it, as long as he held a motive to kill one of the two, this crime would have played out the way it did anyway. Oh? Would you care to explain your logic? And this time, please try to provide a truly perfect explanation. Perfect this, perfect that. Stop being so uptight, or is that a request straight for being avant karma? How's Edgeworth? I demand that you shut this rude woman up. I wish you both be quiet for just 1 second. Oh well, I guess I'll have to explain it to you kids. There's no one out there with a motive to kill both Mr. Frederick and Mr. Rel. All you really have to establish is that someone had a grudge against one of the two men. Mr. Rel had happened to be there, became a witness to Mr. Frederick's murder. Therefore, he was killed out of necessity and set up to look like they had killed each other. I wonder if that's really true. Is there no one out there with a grudge against both men? I should take another hard look at the evidence for this morning case. I feel like the newspaper actually sums it up really good. The KG8 incident, right? Because he was involved with it too. A second KG8 incident, as people are calling it, involving an embassy staff member and the two men who both wound up as suspects in this case. Is there someone else I'm overlooking who is somehow related to them? Yes! Yes! No! I'm actually getting it now! You herself! Because her sister was murdered. There is no one out there with a motive to kill both Mr. Frederick and Mr. Rel. Let's press on it and then we go back and present. Or we can present now. Let's try to present now. Let's hope that it's enough.
Objection!
Yes! Miss Yu, I believe there is someone you overlooked in making your statement. Or rather, is it because you'd rather not bring this person up? What do you mean? We are looking for someone with a reason to kill both Mr. Frederick and Mr. Rel. I can think of at least one person that fits the bill. He was a suspect of the original KG8 incident, and a member of the Kovian embassy staff, Mr. Manikoken. That's right, the very man who came to visit you earlier in the hallway. The man who killed a member of the Kovian embassy staff, Mr. Rel. And the man who was the lead prosecutor of the KG8 incident, Mr. Frederick. Are you telling me that Mr. Kogan has no reason at all to kill both of these men? Well, I suppose he might have a reason or two. You cover for me, pal? Maybe you're not so bad. Maybe you're not such a bad guy after all. Don't get ahead of yourself. You're still a suspect. Make no mistake about that. The perfect evidence, the perfect testimony, these are the only things I wish to hold. But I didn't do it! You will stay under my authority and go investigate Mr. Manny Koken for me. And remember, I will not be and remember, oh. And remember, I will not be very forgiving should any of this leak out. You want to investigate Koken, you just be wasting your time. And why is that? Koken was up in the viewing gallery watching the trial, or so I was told. Every cop in this place has been keeping an eye on the guy since he arrived. Then the only real suspect we have is still Detective Gumshoe. I suppose so. No wait, come on, Detective Bad. You gotta believe me, sir. I really was in the hallway the whole time, sir. I never took a single step into this room, sir. Okay, then are you saying there was someone else who passed through the hallway? No. There was no one else here, sir. Then why should I believe you didn't do it? That is one incredible foolish detective. Standing right in front of a crime scene all by himself. It's as good as a confession of guilt. I have to admit, it's a bit strange. Most criminals will fabricate some sort of lie to escape their crimes. And if that detective really wanted to prove that he was innocent, you would think he would at the very least offer up "I spaced out while on duty" or like, "Come on, Gumshoe. Time for your interrogation." Detective Bad. Miles Edgeworth, I will go on ahead and report this to Papa. And that, as they say, is that. Right, everyone? Ho 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 ho. Well, I suppose we should both be getting back to our real jobs now, huh? Before we do miss you, there is something I'd like to speak with you about. What is it? So, what did you want to ask me about? The current case of the murder, Codium Embassy staff member. I've heard that the people have begun calling it the second KG8 incident. Only among you law enforcement types. And what about it? I'd like for you to tell me everything you know about the original KD8 incident. I'm afraid I can't help you. I don't know anything beyond what was reported in the papers. No, I believe you know much more, since you are directly tied to the KD8 incident. I'd appreciate if you'd stop with the false accusations. Baseless outbursts are useless both inside and outside the courtroom, don't you know? I do, but I also know that I do have a leg to stand on here. Think you can't stop making that ultra serious face in front of me? If you could please stop laughing for just 1 second. I'm not gonna make any headway like this. I'm just going to have to show her exactly how related to the KD8 incident she is. Newspaper. Miss you. I believe that I have proof of your connection to the KD8 incident. That file is your proof? Very well then. Why don't you tell me exactly how I am related to the KD8 incident? True the suspect, true the victim, true the lead prosecutor, true the victim. Your connection to the KD8 incident is true the victim. The victim's name is Chichiyu. You will note that she has the same last name as you. Can you really still tell me with a straight face that you are not related to this case? Sorry, but we're not related. But just kidding. You asked that question with such a serious look on your face that I couldn't help it, but... Miss you, I asked that you please tell me the truth. Alright, I'll tell you everything I know. As you guessed, the one who reported the smuggling activities of the Amano group was my sister, Chichiyu. As I thought. And she was killed right before she was to testify at the impending trial by Manny Koken. But because he was tried once and was acquitted, he gets to live out the rest of his crusty life completely carefree. All because of the lack of evidence. No, I heard that the evidence to convict him did exist. What? I heard it from Mr. Fredra himself after Mr. Koken's trial was over. Apparently a man in black made off with the most important piece of evidence. Then the evidence had been tampered with. Isn't it just like a criminal to do something like that? The smuggling ring being run out of the Amano group by one of its secretaries. They bailed Mr. Koken out. Turns out, they were in league with each other all along. How big was the smuggling ring? Was it a large operation? I don't really know, which is why I wanted to become the lead defense on this case that people are calling the second KG8 incident. But I haven't learned anything new at all. I was probably expecting too much, I know. You mean you think this case has nothing to do with the smuggling ring? I don't know what to think. Why did Mr. Koken want to meet with you earlier? Actually, he came to watch the trial. Apparently, he only found out that I was the defense lawyer on this case after he arrived. He figured he should say hi, and one other thing. Looks like he couldn't resolve anything this time either. Too bad. What's that supposed to mean? Oh boy, stop it with the scary face already. I'm fine, really. I gave him a good slap across the face. The way she talks about slapping him as she laughs away is kinda creepy. But it's just as Mr. Bat said. He's not related to a double murderer. I asked around, the people in the gallery claimed that he was in the seat the entire time. Talk about cruel fate. Well, this is about all I know. Sorry. I guess I wasn't much help, huh? That's not true. I'm sorry I made you recall such a painful time in your life. Edward, you really are too serious for your own good. You really need to learn to relax. We wouldn't want you to die of stress, would we? Thank you for the advice, but there's no need to worry. I work in my own way, and I will catch this criminal in my own way as well. You'll see. Look at you with your game face on, ready to go. I'm making no such face. Did you know laughter is the best medicine, Edward? Don't you get tired of making such a serious face all the time? I'm charged with making sure that all the criminals of this world are found guilty. I have no need for laughter. There you go, making that face again. Oh well. I've got to get going. I still have a few loose ends I need to tie up. The KG8 incident and this murder investigation. It is to believe that these two cases are related to each other somehow. Plus, that Detective Gumshoe. It's obvious he's lying, even though the lie is hurting his chances. Clearly, this case is far from over. But whether or not the detective is the murderer can only be determined once I've completed my perfect investigation. Mr. Von Karma, I swear to uphold your honorable name. Or my name isn't Mouse Edward. To be continued! Well, this was a long run, mostly trying to catch up and understand everything, but it is quite interesting how the events have gone. But I'm going to end this video right here, and I'll see you guys in the second part. Bye!